My name is Martin Harman, and I thought I'd just kind of introduce this exhibition that I have at the moment at our space in Colston Yard in Bristol, and the name of the exhibition is Crossing Space. So welcome to the gallery. The whole concept behind this exhibition relates to crossing space. So I really want to question, what is this kind of reality are we experiencing? Because on one side it's physical, we can see, touch and smell objects, but on the other hand it's non-physical in form. And I find that space often leaves room for the imagination. And this whole concept, comes from looking at Stonehenge. It was Stonehenge and stone circles in the UK. This was kind of one kind of foundation that really triggered me to look at this kind of concept of this space that's somewhere in between the physical and the non-physical. So that could be anything from kind of spiritual kind of aspects that kind of feed into the work, but the most important thing is to create that I wanted to bring works together that leave room for the imagination, that get people questioning about what they're seeing. So there could be some kind of triggers in there, like architecture, or like doors or openings, and again that all relates to the theme. This is like the first section of the gallery at ours, and we got some drawings and paintings in here. And this one, the idea behind this one was to try and represent like a cloud-like form, and I wanted to then create a doorway to kind of lead the eye into the space. So again, there's this kind of dreamlike kind of spiritual almost presence to it, and again that kind of all stems from kind of looking at Stonehenge and stone circles, because for me they almost take on like a spiritual like quality, because people don't know, because people it suggests that it has some kind of ceremonial, religious kind of presence to it. On the other hand, it still remains a mystery because people don't fully understand it. Again, this one is drawing upon a similar theme. So this is again relating to, I wanted to convey kind of mist, clouds, to give it a kind of mystery feeling. And this was done on handmade paper, and with kind of different gradients of charcoal. And there's something really interesting about working with handmade paper. You get this kind of historical kind of look to it. It looks like something that's been kind of preserved from like centuries ago. Cloud related drawing, again it ties into the other cloud series, because I drew this at the same time, but I used this kind of ladder to extend into the space, and that's to kind of talk about kind of climbing into a space, like climbing through another dimension. And so again it's like, for me, there's a kind of spiritual kind of element to it. But at the same time, I want to retain a sense of kind of curiosity and mystery about what's being seen. And it's all, so it's all pencil and pen on paper. Aside from drawing and painting, we've also got some ceramic sculpture. And this one, again, is about utilizing inside and outside space. I wanted to create something that scatters the eye, So you're looking inside and outside of the form, and again really using the space to kind of play upon that. So they were created so this piece was created on the wheel using cones that were cut up, joined together to create this kind of variation in the form, and then using coloured slips, just like a kind of paint, to apply to the surface along with a glaze on the outside. So the outside is glazed to almost reflect the light, and then the inside is unglazed to absorb the light, so you get that kind of contrast. Here we have just some of some magazines and some books that from previous kind of symposiums, exhibitions I've joined. So this is one of the pieces that's on display at the show in a magazine called The World of Interiors, and then this is another piece that was selected for the International Ceramics Biennale in Romania. And then we have a magazine of just examples of ceramic works, and a little booklet about Stonehenge that I got from seeing the site, and a standard CV for some kind of references. And then we got the book that I made for Cross and Space. Just some kind of examples of work in there, and how I make the work, the construction, the process, and a little bit about the inspiration ideas. Another drawing, this one was partly inspired by doing a residency in Australia, and I was there for about a week, just intensely, being inspired by the surrounding woodlands and the animals. And what I found interesting is that I could, obviously being surrounded by all these dense trees, we could hear all these strange sounds, like must have been animals or something, but I couldn't see them. And so I decided to make some quick sketches to take back home to the UK to kind of come up with this kind of idea for an artwork. So I wanted to convey that kind of denseness of trees, not being able to see inside, and then use like the symbol of a window to almost create that kind of sense of like trying to peer through, trying to sense what's kind of going on in the backdrop, but at the same time not being able to kind of see what's going on. So again, I wanted to create a kind of space to enter and have something quite mysterious. Ceramic sculpture, and again it kind of relates back to that black and white one about kind of harnessing space and letting the eye wander into the inside and outside space. This one uses gradients of colour from pink to blue on the outside, and then we got like a black on the inside, and both the outside and the inside is glazed. And obviously you got this this white rim, this white kind of line to kind of also help break up the form and just kind of scatter the eye. So I think it's quite interesting having the pink and blue. I think it makes it almost look like some kind of sky. And in fact, I titled this one Horizon because it reminded me of looking up at the sky at a kind of sunset, where you see the pinks and the blues. So that's what I need in that piece, Horizon. And I usually do that with a lot of my work. If it reminds me of something, then I will title it like according to that. Exploring kind of open ceramic sculptural forms, and again breaking up the space, this time using blue on the inside with these kind of fragmented black shapes on the outside, again just to really break up the form. I think with this one I was thinking more in terms of representing some kind of architectural kind of components with the whole kind of geometrics, because obviously you see represented within Stonehenge. So again, architecture can play into the creation of some of the sculptures, but at the same time I want to kind of leave some space for the viewer to decode it in the way they see fit, really. This is another handmade paper drawing, and I've used lots of kind of squiggly lines with this kind of circle in the middle, and this one I named Trying to Remember, because after I completed it I was thinking, right, what title can I use? And I thought, well, it's almost like it's trying to get me to remember something, but I don't know what I'm trying to remember. So that's why I titled that piece Trying to Remember. And again, I'm trying to bring it back to almost like these kind of cloud-like forms, but perhaps they're not entirely representing clouds, but I was trying to make it look as though it was kind of these forms are kind of shifting and moving and creating a space to kind of enter. But I think with the drawing, with the 2D artworks like drawing and painting, this provides another opportunity to think about new ideas, and sometimes like sculptures can, I think, influence 2D works, but on the other hand the 2D works can just be works by themselves, that just get me thinking of new ideas and just provide a new medium to work with. And I like kind of crossing in between two mediums, ceramic sculpture, 2D artworks, drawings and paintings. This one is also similar to the black and white one. We got spots, these kind of white spots on the outside with a yellow on the inside. Again, I like using spots. I think that kind of, for me it's a kind of pattern, but it also kind of helps to break up the outside of the form, and kind of makes the form look like it's kind of shifting almost, and makes the forms kind of pop out in some way. So there's quite a kind of playful type element, and I think that's something that I really want to try and do with a lot, accomplish with most of the work, is have this kind of playful element, maybe almost toy-like in some way. Here we have some more open sculptures, again just playing around with colour, different colours inside and outside, and glaze. This is probably one of my favourites, because I like the contrast between the matte white on the inside and then the glazed outside with the blue. We got the dark blue. So that's another thing. When I apply the colour, I try to create kind of gradient effects. So we have like this dark blue running into a light blue with a black line through the middle, and then a red on this section with black matte lines on the edge. So really just like playing around with pattern and different colours, the inside outside space. And again, it's all about, in terms of the making processes, these are all they all start on the potter's wheel, by, for example, creating cones, cutting them up, joining them together to create these forms, and then doing kind of multiple firing. Because that's another feature of the work, is doing multiple firing, different firings to control the application of colour and glaze. So usually I'll spend about 1 month to create 2 of these pieces, because they go through quite a lot of kind of processes to get to the finished stage. But when it works, it's really good to see. This painting is more of an experimental one. So it's called, the title of this one's called The Ultimate Selfie. And what I used was a variety of acrylic paints and Australian clay, which I brought back from this residency that I did in Australia. And so you can see that all this texture here, that's all clay from Australia. And so I kind of layered that on top of this, these acrylic paints. But underneath the paints, you got like this collage of paper cutouts. And the paper cutouts are images of photographs from my past, so like photographs from like my travels, like my history of growing up. You got like a photograph of a zoo there. I think that was taken when I was younger. And so I think with this one, I was really trying to talk about, trying to represent traveling through different spaces and almost like being like a reflection of my experience through life, of myself. So that's why I titled it The Ultimate Selfie, and it kind of matches this kind of paper cutout from a newspaper, obviously saying the ultimate selfie, because I thought it was like I kind of thought this was okay, this is almost like a expression of myself in some way. So it's more kind of experimental, and but there's something about putting clay on top of the canvas, on top of the paint. So I'd like to continue with that again in the future, because I really like these kind of textual kind of qualities. This one again relates to that kind of cloud series, the ones we saw previously with the ladder extending into the space. So again, we have this like cloud-like form with this almost like a door and gold in the center, with this like black and white checkered background. And again, it's colored pencils on paper, but again, it's relating back. I wanted to create something that was quite cloud-like, and create these kind of different kind of views to kind of look into. So it's like this background here, and then this highlight form in the foreground. This is another ceramic sculpture, again leading on from investigating open spaces and open internal space, which the eye can peer into, and then having this kind of line on the outside for the eye to kind of follow and move around. So you're moving inside the space and outside the space, and that's like almost like a central theme for a lot of the for a lot of the open ceramic sculptures, is to peer into the inside and outside space and play with colour, gradients of colour, line, to draw the eye to different parts of the form. So this is another multimedia collage painting. Again, I used these kind of these are barcode paper cutouts like collaged onto the surface, and then I painted it with like this emulsion white, and then used gradients of black and grey acrylic paint to expand from this white circle to try and lead the eye into this white space. And the idea behind this one was to talk about, to kind of reflect upon our current society, how, when we purchase products, everything has a barcode on it, and that barcode stores all the information, but also barcodes in general to me symbolises the way we kind of like manage society or store people's identity, and it's not just, you know, it's not just like the exchange of products, but also administration, like paperwork, that is at the very foundation of like managing people in society. And so I wanted to create a piece that kind of relates to that, but also is contrasted with belief, with some kind of spiritual essence, and to talk about how belief is like central for anything we do to structure society, because without that belief, you know, I guess these things would collapse. So I guess I wanted to talk about those kind of things, you know, and fuse it all together into one piece. And this one, the final artwork in this exhibition, this one's called Manifestation, and this was again relating to like these cloud-like forms and using these kind of patterns inside to kind of pull the eye into that central white round space. And yeah, again, I just wanted to really focus. With this one, I think I just really wanted to just focus on the outline of the shape, and then these kind of shapes inside. But again, you know, it all kind of follows in from this kind of cloud-like form, and but I guess there's, like most of the work, there's kind of room for interpretation. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope it's given you some more kind of knowledge about why I create these artworks, you know, the inspiration ideas and some of the making process behind each piece. But if you like this video, feel free to press the like button or subscribe to my page. And this exhibition will be running until the 21st of November. But it will just be my 2D artworks on display until the 21st, but it'll be by appointment only. So if you're interested, you can head down to Hours space in Colston Yard in Bristol, but you can also find further information on my website, www.martinharmanart.com. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching.